Welcome back to Against the Cage. Scott Fontana here with Arman Tsarukyan, who returns to action Saturday in Doha, Qatar for a UFC lightweight main event against Dan Hooker. So, Arman, listen, the last time we spoke was a few days after the lightweight title fight. Ilia Topuria became the champion. You weighed in as the backup fighter. It has been, a strange year for you between that and then obviously what happened in January. What would a win Saturday against Dan Hooker do for you with kind of the way you look back at this year, 2025?
I can say if I beat when I beat the hooker, perform very good, and then I can say this was not that bad year that I thought.
Sure, sure. I mean, what kind of stuff were you going through this year? Just kind of dealing with some of the frustrations. Obviously, you're heading in the right direction now, but what's kind of been the mental kind of if there's been a struggle?
It was a struggle with my back, so I couldn't train very well. But then when I started to train, when you train, your time flies. You feel way better and. Just was hard 1 month in January, February, and then I felt better.
Good, good. And you were explaining to me in July, about the sciatica that had forced you out of that championship fight with Islam Makhachev at the beginning of the year. And actually LeBron James, the basketball star, he's been dealing with the same thing right now. It's kind of been in the news a little bit. You told me it was not an issue. It didn't come up when you had the backup weight cut. Are you anticipating any trouble with it this time around? Do you believe you're kind of past this whole thing?
No, now when you cut weight, your body is weak. But right now, I'm not cutting weight yet, and I feel good.
So, I mean, is there any concern on your end, or are you trying not to worry about that?
Yeah, I'm trying not to think about that, but you never know what your body can do.
Sure, understood. Now, look, you're the top-ranked lightweight contender now that Islam has moved on from 155 pounds. You already were that distinction when Topuria beat Charles Oliveira, win the championship. Dana White obviously has made it clear the displeasure with kind of how the whole situation played out. But you're entering this fight against Hooker, fully expecting the to cement yourself as the lightweight title challenger, I would assume, right?
I mean, this is like a kind of risky fight for me because I have something to lose, but for Hooker, nothing to lose. If he lose to me, he said, "Yeah, okay, I'll lose to number one contender." But for me, it's three steps back. That's why I'm very motivated and ready to beat him.
Now, have you had the chance to kind of speak with Dana White ever since kind of this whole thing, or especially in the last like 6 months or so?
I talked to Hunter.
Okay, I got you. Now Topuria, he's not fought since winning the title in June. UFC has not yet announced any of their fights for next year. We're already in, the second half of November. If the UFC wanted to do like a lightweight title fight in July, or excuse me, I would say January or February, let's say it's you who comes out of this one against Ilya, would that be too soon, or are you up for that?
No, of course, I'll be down. I'll take that chance. You cannot,
Okay.
you cannot, you cannot turn down the title fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. I imagine Dana White loves to hear that. But there's obviously a few other fighters who are kind of jockeying for that fight. We spoke last time back in July about the whole thing with Paddy Pimblett, UFC 317. He come to the octagon, how much you don't like those pro wrestling tactics that were kind of at play there. Justin Gaethje's in the mix as well. Is simply winning against Dan Hooker on Saturday, is that going to be enough to cement this title shot? Or do you believe maybe you need to stand out in another way in Qatar?
No, 100%. If it's gonna be good statement, good finish, is not gonna be any questions who is fighting for the title next.
Would it be disappointing if it ended up being a decision and maybe wasn't like the fight of the year kind of thing?
Yeah, if I win very boring, they could say, "Yeah, listen, this fight was boring. You gotta wait a little bit more," and which is I could understand.
So as a fighter, because obviously you're geared to just trying to get positions and try to win those moments and that kind of thing, how much can you make yourself be aware of that fact that like, hey, I've really got to push it even to a higher degree, maybe? Is that something you can force yourself to do?
No, no, I'm everything is going great, and I don't want to push something and think overthinking. Just right now, I think about then Hooker, and after then Hooker, I can talk about Ile and title fight because don't I shouldn't look. I shouldn't think like, oh, I'm gonna knock him out in the first round and then I get the title fight. So I gotta be focused on Dan Hooker first.
And let's talk about Dan Hooker. Obviously, he was speaking recently about the bad blood between the two of you. We've seen that play out over social media. Uh, he said that you have been discrediting him as a fighter since you got to the UFC years ago. Where does all this bad blood, this disrespect come from, at least from your perspective?
It's probably because we are fighting in the same division. I wanted to fight him when I was unranked or rank 15. He didn't want to fight me, and like I called out him, and he didn't respond or something, and then we started like talking shit about each other.
Now, obviously, you're aiming for that title shot with this victory, so you must have some respect for him as a fighter at this point because a win would have to mean something, right?
Yeah, just one guy who raised his hand was Dan Hooker. Other ones said no because I supposed to fight with Gage, and he said no. I want to fight for the title or I'm retired.
So there's at least that respect, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Um, as far as kind of the back and forth you guys have had, one of the things he said lately was he referred to you as a lippy little rich kid. Makes references to you using family money to fund your career and that kind of thing, making that sound like it's a bad thing. When he says stuff like that, does that bother you?
No, doesn't bother me at all, and I just focus on me, on what I'm saying, and how I'm training, and I don't want to spend my energy even watch his videos and think about him.
Sure, but obviously you have to think about him as a fighter in there. He's known for his striking. I think that's one would assume that is his arena where he would like it to be. I think he's spoken about that as well. How much are you interested in engaging with him, on the feet versus the priority being getting it down to the mat, where one would think you have an advantage?
It's probably 50-50. It's gonna be a lot of wrestling and a lot of striking, and I'm a complete fighter. I can do both, and then when if I feel I'm good on the feet, I'll stay there. If I feel like I need a wrestle, I'll do the wrestling. So because we got 25 minutes, a bunch of time to do everything.
So it might not look exactly the same as, say, Islam Makhachev's victory over the weekend over Jack Della Maddalena, get that welterweight title fight. That was mostly trying to get it down. He engaged a little bit on the feet, but mostly was trying to get it down. You could see a lot greater mix there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I'll do more striking.
Okay. And again, over the weekend, I mean, he accomplished that. He became a double champ in New York. What was your reaction to that, given obviously you guys had some recent history that didn't quite play out, but he's been in your orbit for a while. He was obviously that first UFC fight for you as well. What was your reaction to his big win?
I was surprised how easy he beat him, and I was happy for him.
Okay. And obviously, he's expressed a desire now that he's the champion at 170. He wants to be an active champion. He doesn't sound particularly interested in looking back at 155 pounds. You told me before that your aspirations are to be an active and long-time champion in this weight class, in 155 pounds, if you get there. Have you moved on from the idea of getting that rematch with Makachev? That was obviously so close earlier this year.
Right now I'm not thinking about Islam Makhachev. I have a Tapuria in my weight class. I have a hooker that the guy that I gotta beat, and then we'll see how it plays out.